Our next topic is lighting inside Cinema 4D. Lighting is very important for us because by using a lighting, we can create more realistic effect or output from the Cinema 4D. By using a good texture, by using a good lighting, we always create a realistic looking output inside Cinema 4D. So lighting is a very important for us. We can create lights by using this small option over here. You can see the lots of option for the lighting, or you can go inside create option and you can click on this light option to create the same lighting effect by using this option too. So for the explain about the lighting, I have to create some basic objects. So I create a plane over here as my base for the receive shadows and receive caustic or something like that is my base or is my ground where I create or apply effect of lighting. And here I create a capsule over that on the top of that plane. But when I render it, you can see the edge of this rectangle over here or square over here is a little bit difficult to work this kind of shape inside Cinema 4D, because whenever I create a shadow or caustic, I have to expand this rectangle or plane to the big size, and that will create some problem while rendering. So that's why they gave us a very nice option called floor. You can click over here to get that floor option. I click on this floor option. This looks same like a plane, but it's a infinite plane. So whenever we click on this render option, you can see we can't see the edge of the scene because it's an infinite mode. So there's no problem to receive shadow or create caustic or create any light effect because we have very big ground to receive that all effect. That's why I prefer to create a floor. Here you can see the basic property of the floor. You can change the name of the floor and you can add that into the layer. The whatever basic we learn for the basic primitives, the all options are there for the floor too. You can again you can texture that, you can apply material on that. I will tell you later on how to do some effect with this floor. So I create this basic scene for check out the lighting property. Right now we can see this object because of a default light. So if you want to change the default light properties, you go inside option, and here you can see the default light properties over here. I click on this small icon and you can see it's showing me the sphere as my default lighting. Now when I move this like this, you can see the effect of my object or lighting effect on my object is changing like this. This way you can modify the default light. If you want to work only in a default light, you can change this by using this option. Whenever we create other light, all the effect of default light is gone from the view. So first I create a very basic light by using a light option. It's create on the center of the grid, so I just move it from here to here. I can move it up so you can see it clearly. When I move this, you can see the effect of the lighting is changing on the surface and on the object. You can adjust that like this. The basic light property, I click on this light property, light option to get the light property. You can see over here there are lots of property available for the modifying the light, like a basic, coordinate, journal, detail, visibility, shadow, photometric, caustic, noise, lens and project. We learn some part like a caustic in advanced lighting option. So first let me cover the basic property of the light. Here inside this journal option, you can see you can change the color of the light. Okay, first I render this file. You can see it's look like this. I click on light to check the light property. Right now it's a omni type. You can see the type is there. You can change the type like omni to spot like this, and I move it and drag it up. For rotation, I use rotation tool to rotate this light like this. I can click over here to change the effect of that light or the parameters of that light like this. I click back to light to get the light properties. This you can modify the light property like an infinite or area or square spot. I tell later on how to use these, but first I keep it as a spot and I tell you the other property of the light. First one is the color. Let me render it for a while. See, you can see over here, but it look very fake because it don't have shadow. So I click over here, and here inside this light property, first I can change the color of this light. I change it to the light green or something like that. I click on OK and I render it back. You can see the effect on the object. So you can modify your light color property by using this option. Again, we have some other lighting option, like you can work with the HSV color option, or you can choose with color table. It's up to you. Here is option called intensity. I first make it white. Okay, you can see the effect over here too. I say frame all and zoom it a little bit and pan it like this. Okay. The first thing is second thing is the intensity. You can change it like this and you can make it more glow. You can press Alt and right click to jump back to basic properties or base property like 100 and I render it again like this. For the light effect in detail, you have to render it again and again. So either you can click over here or you can press the shortcut called Ctrl R. That's a easy way to see the light effects. I can change the intensity like this. Even I can change the intensity in the -2. So I just drag it down into the minus values. You can see I keep it at the -100. So this light normally create, okay, you can't see anything because we don't have any other light, but this light will create if I add some more light. You can see over here on this, inside this viewport, you can see the a black area around this object. This all created by using this spotlight. So if I create other light and I keep it up and if I render this, okay, you can see the small blackish part over here. It's all created by using this first light. So I just delete this second light and I change the property of this light to 100 like the default one. So you can modify the property of the light intensity. Next thing is a type of a light. Either you can go with a spot or you can go with the omni, or you can choose infinite again like this, or you can choose area light. We use normally this area light to create more realistic effect. I can render it and you can see the edge of that light over here. Fine. Square spot like this, you can see the gizmo or the property of that light. Parallel light, a parallel spotlight, like a laser beam or something like that. We can use this type of light to create that kind of effect. And square parallel spot, something like this. I show you the example of this light later on. So I keep it as a omni. Okay, next one is the IES light is normally used to create very realistic interior light. We use this parameter to import some light parameter from the other software or other sources, and we create very realistic light property by using this IES light type. So in advanced lighting we surely going to learn this part, but first right now I'm just go with the spot option. Next thing is shadow. Okay, right now we don't have shadow, that's why it's look very fake over here. But whenever I click on this shadow property, we see we have four options over. One is a none, is a by default on. So I click on this shadow map soft option. I click over here and I render it again. You can see the shadow over here. Now it's look little more realistic than the previous one. Next one, I can go with the ray trace shadow. It's a little bit harder shadow type. I render it again like this. You can see the edge of this shadow is more hard now. We can change the shadows property by using the shadow option. I'll tell you later on how to work with it. But first let me cover the shadows options. And area shadow is more realistic looking shadow available inside Cinema 4D. So you can see it's changed into the square form over here, and I press Ctrl R to see my render. See, it's look like this and it's look more realistic like a real object over here. I click over here again and I keep it as a shadow map soft for a basic kind of shadow. Okay, the next thing is visible light. Right now we can't see the spotlight parameter or spotlight because we only see the effect of that light, not the start of the light or where is this light's place. Like this, I don't know where is this light. So for that we can use this option called visible light. I click on this and say visible. Fine, and I render it. You can see the source of a light from where we start the light and where is going on, something like this, a torch effect or something like the other kind of effect where we see in a real life, invisible or in volumetric, like this is look same now, but after some time we change the property of it, and the inverse volumetric, like this. Okay, so I keep it that as a none for a while. Okay, after some time I tell you in detail about this in visibility option or other properties. Here back to general option. Next option is no illumination. When I click on this option, you can see it's remove all the effect of a light or create a very flat looking object over here, like this. So I uncheck that. Okay, I can see the all property or the gizmos or controls of the light. You can click on this show illumination option off, and you can see it's removing that gizmo from the view. Next one is the ambient illumination. When I click on it, next one is the ambient illumination. When I click on it, you can see it's create this kind of effect, a very glowy type of effect, but we can't see any detail over here because it's a flat one, like this. So I just click on a light and just remove this ambient illumination option. Next one is show visible light, but right now we keep it that visible light none. That's why we can't work on this option. So I just keep it visible. You can see the some parameter over here, and then after you can modify this visibility of a light by using this tick mark. We have lots more option to control this visible option, but right now I just using this one to on and off this gizmos properties. I keep it back as a none. Next property is diffuse. By on and off this property, you can see I am creating a dramatic change inside light. If I keep it off and I render it, you can see it's only showing the specular option over here or the shine of the light, not the other property or diffusion of the light. If I want to remove this shine, I first let me check the yeah, it's okay. Then I remove this specular option and render it again. You can see it's look very flat because we don't have any shine or specular on that object. That's why it's look very matte look, or it's look very flat over here. Next thing is the show clipping. Normally we use this to work with this parameter, near clip and far clip. So I later on tell you about that. And next one is the GI illumination. Okay, this again advanced lighting part. GI stand for global illumination. We used to create outdoor lighting or day type of a lighting. So I tell you later on about this. Separate pass, you can create a shadow pass separately by using this option, but we can create that by using a layer rendering option too. Next one is the export to After Effects, AFX. If you want to export this lighting setting inside After Effects and I want to modify that light by using a After Effects property, we can do that by using this option. Whenever I export this scene to the After Effects, I can export light separately or inside this scene and modify that inside After Effects. So that's the option available inside general option. Next is a detail option. Inside detail option, you can see the first option is a use inner. Normally I just change the inner angle first. Here you can see the soft shadow over there on the edge. That's because of this inner option. Over here you can see the softness on the edge of this spotlight is because just of this inner option. So I just change this property. I change the inner angle like this, and you can see I can change the edge sharpness by using this option. I keep it sharp like this and render it for view. You can see now here you can see on the edge of this spotlight it's very sharp. So I change it little bit like this, or I can move it inward. I can change the outer angle again to control my parabola of this or the disc of this light spotlight, like this. Aspect ratio, you can change the aspect ratio from circle to oval, and you can see the small difference due to aspect ratio. I convert that like this. You can see the difference of that aspect ratio. Alt right click to jump back to default properties. Then contrast, I can change the contrast, but you have to render that to see the effect of the contrast like this. The next option is shadow caster. We normally use this option to create a shadow but not a illumination. Sometimes what happen, we create lots of lights, and for each and every property they create a different, each and every light they create different shadows, and we see the very odd looking scene. For that we use another light to cast only shadow, not a light on it or illumination on it. So we off the all light shadow and just keep one light as a shadow caster in the inside the scene, so we get a one shadow only, not the other light shadow, so we get a very perfect scene by using this option. So you try it by your own, how to use this shadow caster. Next one is a fall off. We normally use to control light range by using this fall off option. When light travel up to certain distance, it get faded out after some time or after some distance. To create that kind of effect, we use this fall off option. Like first I click on this inverse square, is a physically accurate. So when I drag this radius decay option, you can see it's changing the effect of the light on that object. I keep it a little far and I render it, you can see, and then after I reduce the distance and render it again. See, it's control the light range by this follow up option. You can change to the linear like this. You can see the small highlight over there, or you can change the inner radius for more control. Step, I can cut that light on the edge of this object. You can see it's something like some object is coming from the darkness to the light, or you can go with the inverse square clamp. Again, it's controlling the light range. I keep it as a simple is a linear. I change the inner radius and outer radius like this. Yeah. Curl edge fall off. Sometimes we see some edge over here by using this option. Z direction only, fall off for Z direction. You can control this for the advanced lighting. Next option is use gradient option. It's available only with the fall off. So when I keep it as none, you can see the use gradient option over here. So I keep it as a linear because it's a very easy one. I click on this tick mark of a use gradient option. Now we can see only flat white color. Okay, you can see effect inside rendering. So I change the color of this light gradient. I keep it red. Here I add another spot of green. You can see the effect inside viewport. Here I double click it and add yellow color like this. You can see the little circle over here for yellow, and when I render it, you can see we have lots of different colors as my fall off inside this viewport. This way you can control the gradient option, or you can add some colors inside your scene by using a light. Here we can see some more options of colors by clicking on this small black triangle over here. You can change the interpolation of this color spot like a linear or cubic bias, something like this. Next, in the position of that particular color spot and the color of that particular color spot, you can change it according to your settings. If you want to load some preset, a previously create gradient option, so you can click on this load preset option. And here you can see there are lots of different type of gradient available. I click on this and you can see now I can see this NTSC or some patterns over here. We normally use this for videos editing part, but you can see that same thing over available inside this Cinema 4D lighting option too. If you want to remove any spot, just click and drag it outside, so you can remove it very easily. I want to save this pattern for my future use, so you can click on this save pattern option to save this pattern for your future effects. by using this small save preset option. Next option is a near clip and far clip. For that, first we have to click on the general tab, and on this visible light option I keep it as a visible. Then I jump back to detail option and click on this near clip. Now you can see small circle over here. This can control the range of a light. I click over here to see the effect. You can see it start from the base or starting of the light, and you can see it's spreaded over particular area. So I go back to general option and see the option called show clipping. When I click it off, you can see the clipping option. So this is a useful tool to see the clipping part. I go back to details and then I change the from option of this clip, near clip. Like this, you can see it's creating another circle over there and is controlling the near part of the light. Like this, see from here light will start and go through or just process ahead till the outer or two of the near clip. I can change it. I can change the range of it like this. So this way you can manage the near clip. Same you can do this with the far clip. When I click on this far clip, you can see the another green circle kind of thing is there. You can change it to the far, like I just drag it here, far clip from option till here, and I render it again. You can see the change between the spot. So this way you can change or we can control the range of the light by using this near clip and far clip. I render it again. You can see now I can control some light option over here by using this near clip and far clip. Inside this visibility option, we can control the fall off of this light. Show you. When I remove this use fall off option, you can see this kind of effect. You can see it's like a cone of a light. I click over here again and render it back. You can see the control of the edge. You can see the smoothness of the edge with this option of fall off. You can change the property of a fall off by using this fall off option. Edge fall off it, and you can see the sharpness over here. I keep it on and I render it again. You can see some smoothness over here on the edge. That's why you can use edge fall off to control the edge of the light or light emission. Click on this option and you can see some colors over here. It's not that visible, but yeah, you can add some colors on the edge of this fall off using this option, colored edge option, fall off. Next property normally used to control the fall off effect again. You can change the distance option, or you can change the deepness of the distance. You can change the brightness of the distance. Dust, you can add some dust and dithering inside that. The next important thing is the use gradient. So I just click on this use gradient option. You can keep this tick on. Again, same like our last option, last gradient option. Either you can add some preset or you can create your own gradient over here. I double click it for the colors, and here I add another color like this, and then I render it to see the effect of it. You can see now it's something like a colorful torch or something like that. You can create this effect by using this gradient option. So here I create a new setup of a light and I add a cylinder instead of the old primitives of capsule. Fine. So here I click on this spotlight option or light option. In light property, I click on this shadow option, but before that, inside general option, I keep this shadow option on. I keep it as a shadow map soft and I render it to see the shadow effect. You can see this shadow effect of that cylinder. I jump back to shadow option. Here you can change the shadow parameters again, like retrace hard or area shadow. I keep it as a shadow map. Here you can change the density of the shadow. Right now you can see it's quite dense, so I change the density of the shadow around 20% and render it again. You can see it's very opaque or transparent one. I change the density to 100 again. Now the color of this shadow, I can choose any other color like this. Sometimes for some object we have to create a colorful shadow. That's why it's option given over here. I keep it black again. You can choose any another color by using these color parameters over here. Right now the transparency option is on. I show later on how to use this transparency option to create some caustic part. So I keep it on right now, but we surely learn more about this in advanced lighting. By using this clipping influence option, we can apply our clipping options, what we learn inside details on shadow too. So if you want to apply some near and far clip option on light with the shadow, so that time you can use this, you can tick this option on to create that effect. Next option is shadow map. We normally use this option is available only with this shadow map option. If you go with the retrace hard, you can't see that much option, or inside red area you can't see that option. It's available only the shadow map option. This is normally quality of the shadow. If I increase this to the more like a 1000 by 1000, it will create a very detailed shadow or very sharp shadow, like a high quality shadow by using this option, but it takes time to render it again, because see, in 250 by 250 is around half of a MB. Memory use is a half MB, but when I convert into the highest one, like a 2000 by 2000, you can see it's jumped to the 32 MB. So for that, it's very heavy to render or to preview. So normally we keep as a 250 for the uh, R&D purpose, but whenever you render it with for the high quality compositing, that time you can change the shadow map as per as your compositing need. You can change the resolution X and Y by using this option, and you can see the memory use over here. Sample it is again for the quality of the shadow. You can change it for the detail shadow over here. The next thing is a outline shadow. Outline shadow, when I click on it, you can see my shadow, it's something like that. It's only showing me the outline of the shadow. So for uh, some filling type kind of effect, we use this outline shadow. Right now it's okay to I uncheck that. That's not a problem for this scene. When we use Omnilight for lighting, so it's create some artifacts inside shadow. It's look very crooked or something like very different than the normal one. So that time you can use this shadow cone option to control that artifacts or control the Omnilight shadow. But right now it's not useful because we are using this cone. So when you create Omni light for lighting, that time you can use this option inside shadow option, show cone option. Next option is the photometric light. It's a very realistic looking light. We normally use the realistic parameters to create this type of photometric options or effect. I click it on over here. You can see units are different and intensity is different, like these. Whatever we see lights in our world, okay, we can create that same lighting by using this photometric light inside Cinema 4D. We can import some data to this file, and you can control a light. Right now it's not active because I have to click on this general tab and I have to choose this IS light. Then after I can import some IS property, and we can add that light property on that light, and we can create that exact same effect as a real light by using this property. So we will learn it about we will learn this thing about later on. So right now I'm not going to use this, so I click and off this photometric intensity option. You can see the very basic light. I keep it as a spot. So this normally photometric light is for advanced lighting, so I tell you later on about this. Next one is a caustic. Caustic again, we create some caustic by a transparent object or water or something like that. Again, it's for advanced part, so I'm keeping it aside for a while. After some time I will show you the effects of caustic and photometric. Our next topic is a noise effect inside light part of the Cinema 4D. So for that I create a spotlight over here. I move the spotlight back and just adjust inside scene like this. I change the effect of it. Yeah, I just render it. It's look like this. But I want to add some noise effect or some volumetric effect in it, so that's why I can use this light option, noise option. So here noise is right now none, so I click on it and I click on this illumination option, so we only see this noise on illumination part of the light. I render it. You can see here, you can see the nice noise effect inside this light illumination area. To see the next option, if I click on this visibility, you can see you can't see any noise over here, because for this visibility area we have to on visible light option. So I keep that as a volumetric, and then after I render it again, so you can see it's showing some effect, a noise effect inside this light volume. I back to noise option. Now when I click on this illumination, you can see the effect inside illumination but not on this volume. And when I click on this visibility, you see only effect inside this volume, not on this illumination part. So for the both effect, I can keep this as a both, and you can see this noise effect for the both part of the light, volumetric volume option and the illumination option. Here we can see the different type of noises over there. I click on the basic one is a noise. I render again. You can see to see the difference between all noise, I just save this render. I click on this small button over here. It's a render to picture viewer. It's a very nice option over here. I click on it and you can see it's rendered, and save this layer for our future use. Then I minimize this and I change the noise to soft turbulence, and I click again on this icon, or the shortcut is Shift R. You can see it's create different render over here, but you can see here I can check out my render. Like I can double click on this layer, a previous render, and this one is my current render. Here you can compare them to by clicking on this small icon over here. If we compare, first I have to add this into the B, so I just add this, or right click over here and I set this as a B. I set this as my A option. Yeah, then after I can see effect over here. You can compare them. See over here, you can see the effect like this. You can see it in a vertical manner, or you can see like this difference between two rendered. So this you can change the effect of it. I just close this for a while. Okay, jump back to the noise option. So this is a soft turbulence option. I click on this hard turbulence option. I render again. You can see the third option is there. The first, noise, soft, and the hard one, like this. So whenever you render it by using this Shift R button, you see saving different layers for the comparison. So here I click on this wavy turbulence again. You can see it's look very different than the previous one. You can check it out. Others like this. Fine. Next, I keep it as a soft turbulence. I can change the octaves for more turbulence effect. You can see it's look more flat, or you can see it's more dense or detailed. So I can keep it that as 8, and I render it now like this. Then after the velocity, I can change it to change the speed of this light, or sorry, volume or noise effect, brightness of this volume noise effect, contrast. Again, you can change the contrast of this noise effect, and local coordinate system or coordinate like this. Again, there's option called visibility scale. You can adjust the visibility levels of this noise, how far it's shown and something like that. So you can do that by using these options. Okay, see this. And the last one is wind. Sometimes we create a movement in this volumetric light effect. That time you can use this wind to move this noise or animate this noise. So it will create a effect like a morning light effect in some hut or something like that. You can see the dust particles inside the light volume. That time you can create this effect, or you can animate this wind effect to create a better noise option by using these all of options. Our next topic is lens. To learn about this lens option, first I delete this light, so we can see very flat here. Again we jump back to the basic one. Then after I click on a light, but I click on this light option to create a simple omni light. I drag it up, zoom this scene so you can see it clearly. I just drag it back, and here I can keep that as a frame all. Okay, now you can see this light inside this scene. I want to convert that light into the lens effect, so I click on this lens effect. Right now it's inactive, so I just click on this inactive option, and here you can see the different type of preset available inside these options. So I just click on this wide angle. You can see the preview over here, and to see the effect of this light I click on this render option, and you can see the effect of that light. For more reality I keep the shadow option on. In general tab, shadow is none round. I just keep it as a shadow map and edit again. So you can see something like this. In light property, in lens option, check out the other option like a flashlight. You can see the flashlight option over here, or the sun, yellow green options. These all things are customizable, so you can customize any effect by using some parameters. I click on this zoom option. Okay, I render it. You can see this option. Okay, whenever you animate the light, you can animate this effect too. So for some text effect or some lens flare effect, we can use this light to create very realistic lens flare effect. Again, it's in a 3D property, so we can use all 3D options or all 3D qualities to animate that. It's like a revolving or rotating around the object, something like that. You can very easily create this thing by using this light option. Fine. So in zoom, you can change the brightness of this file like this. It's look very dull. Right click on this parameter to make it, so set it back to the default level. Aspect ratio, again you can change the aspect ratio, and see it's look like this, or you can create something like this too. More realistic lens flare effect. If you want to edit this light or this lens, so click on this edit button. Here you can see the different parameter or property of this glow. Here you can click on this glow element. Right now it's an element 1. I just click on element 2. Different type of effects over there like this. You can change the colors or something like this, a middle glow of it. Okay, I keep it on element 1. I can change the thickness and beam of it. See, like this, a breaks between the flares. Width, ratio, again you can change the ratio of it like this. Element 2, it's a color. I choose color. I want to something like this yellow one, like this. I'll choose back the different color. You can change the size of this glow. Width. Okay, a ring. Right now I click on this rainbow ring, so you can see the ring over here, a size of that ring and ratio of that ring. For these beams I can choose the element 1 or element 2, element 4, something like this. Okay, you can convert that or you can customize that, and you can save this setting for your future use. You can see the all settings are there, and you can change the angle and lots of things of that light or lens part. Okay, I rendered again, so you can see that ring whatever we created by using the edit option, you can see over here. Next, reflection or reflexes, I click is inactive. It's a secondary lights or secondary lens, I can say. I keep it as start 2. I rendered again. Now you can see these small rings over there. It's all created by using these reflexes. You can check out other one. or you can check out over here in the small thumbnail. You can see the effect of that file or reflexes. Again, you can change the brightness of it, aspect ratio. You can see the effect over here. And if you want to edit that reflexes, again click on this edit option and you can see I can add more elements, something like this, a position over here, and I just click on the add. So it's add over there, a ring or triangle. Again I change the position of it like this, a color of it, add. Okay, you can see this triangle is added now. I say okay. So you can see this, you can modify the all property available inside this lens for a better result. Next thing is scale. Again you can change the scale of it, overall scale, and a rotation of this effect. You can see in this thumbnail, you can see the all whatever changes I am doing right now. You can see the effect of that changes in this thumbnail, and the light parameters and fade up behind objects or something like that. You can check out these all things. These are very common thing available with the lens option. So this is all property available, all things available with the lens inside Cinema 4D. For next property of a light, I create two objects over here. I create a spotlight, I drag it back. I just doing some settings over here. Yeah, that's okay for me. And for this, I on this shadow option as a shadow map soft. I render it. You can see the two objects over there and a soft shadow of the two objects. The next option is called project. We normally use to exclude any object from the light effect. Sometimes due to some conditions or some effect, for create some effect, we have to exclude particular object from particular light. That time you can use this option to exclude any object from any light. So whatever object you want to exclude, okay, there's a two option over there in the mode option. One is a include and one is a exclude. I keep it exclude on, and I drag this sphere from here to inside this box. So see, you can see the effect over here. This sphere turned black. Now when I render it, you can see you can't see any effect or shadow or illumination or anything of this sphere. You just see the only black circular spot over here. Jump back to light property again. The first one is illumination. Okay, sometime for some reason we can on some property of this object inside light. The first one is the illumination. I click it on or something like this. I click, you can see the illumination of it. For specular, again I click on the specular tab or option, and for shadow again I click on this shadow option. You can see the entire thing back, but anytime I can go back and remove shadow, a specular, and illumination, and again you see a black spot over there. So this we can manage the light property inside Cinema 4D. Light and project option. So the hierarchy option, I just keep it normally on. So this we can change the effect, and the pyrocluster illumination, pyrocluster shadow casting is a different thing we normally use with some advanced lighting effect. So right now is enough for this basic option. Next we learn about the IES light option inside Cinema 4D. First, either you can directly jump to the IES light or you can create any light and convert it into the IES light. So I just create a basic light over here. It's a Omni one. Okay, inside the journal option, here you can see the type of the light, IES. Okay, what is a IES light? IES stand for Illuminating Engineering Society. This is normally created for electronic transfer of a photometric data over the web. It has been widely used by many lighting manufacturers and is one of the industry standard in photometric data distribution. Normally we use this IES light data for indoor lighting. Each and every lighting manufacturer always create a IES data and give it on their website. So very easily you can download from any lighting manufacturer like a Philips or any other one. From their website you can directly download the photometric data and use for the your indoor lighting purpose. Here you can see I am on a Lithonia lighting websites. They are very well known company for creating electronic lighting device. Here on the resources part or a link of the resources, I can see the photometric options over here. I can click on the photometric light, and here you can see the data or IES data for their each and every lighting component, for outdoor, for indoor, for emergency lighting, whatever it is you want, you can see it over here. You can download the all photometric data by using one file, one zip file, and you can use it for your indoor lighting setup. The same thing happen on this Philips website also. You can see the different type of lighting, the bulb and other lighting models over there. You can see the IS data of that particular file. Very easily you can download it from their website and use for creating a very realistic interior scene by using this photometric light. Here you can see the example of the IS light. You can see the different type of IS light over there for a different purpose, and same effect you can create by using you can use this IS light for different 3D software to create very realistic indoor lighting effect. This one is another example of the IS light. So now we will use these files, IS light files, for great realities or very particular effect of the lighting. In any 3D software we can use that. IS data is very common for the indoor lighting. So here you can see I download some data from the Lithonia lighting website. Here you can see the IS data for each and every model, whatever they created in their company. You can see the data of almost each and every light type, whatever they created. Now how can you use this data for our use? So I just right click over here and keep it as a show tree view, so you can see the tree view over here, and simply just drag and drop this folder from here to inside this tree view, and now you can see the data of that lighting. Okay, there's different type of IS profiles over there. When I click on any lighting profile, you can see the effect of it in this small thumbnail over here. See, like this. So already include some IS lighting in our Cinema 4D view. So let's use it for the scene. So I convert this Omni light into the IS light, and to import this type of IS profiles, I can click on this photometric option. Here you can see photometric option is off now, so I just click on this tab or button to on it. Okay, you can see the units over there. It's a very realistic one, so you can see the lumens and candela effect or units over there. Right now photometric data, I'm using the outside data to create a light, so you have to browse or explore your data by clicking on this small button over here. I paste my path over here, and you can see I'm just jumped to the Lithonia lighting folder, and I want to use something like a LED P series LED modules. I click on this IS light and I open it. You can see suddenly it turned to the different effect like this. Okay, I have to rotate that because the small line over here you can showing that is direction of the light. So I just rotate it like this, and I move it back over here. You can see the very dim light over there. I render it. You can see very small dim light over here. Okay, now check out the profiles, different kind of profiles over there. I jump back to lighting property again. Okay, inside object manager, light, I can click over here. I can go and apply another light profile like this. Here you can see the lighting effect. Of that IS light like this. Anytime you can go and change your IS settings. There are lots and lots of settings over there. You can download whatever you want, whatever different type of lights types from different websites, and you can use that to create your own indoor lighting setting like this. So I press Ctrl and drag this light from here to here to create a duplicate of it. And move it like this to see the effect. So sometimes like a effect like a holding or something like that, that time you can use this lighting setting to create this kind of effect. So IS light is very realistic one. You can create change the intensity of that light. So I delete this all light first and just explore the property of the IS photometric light. I can change the intensity of it like this. And here you can see the thumbnail of that light, and you can see the information about that IS light, manufacturer, the name of the manufacturer, the type, catalog number of this particular light type, and other properties of this light. So you can use this information to create more realistic output inside Cinema 4D. Okay, that's all about IS light. I did this light and I want to apply IS light directly inside scene. So for that, they gives option called IS light. You can directly click on this IS light option and it will open the folder where you save the light IS property. You can pre check that there you have already saved the all profile in one location. Here you can see different type of locations over there. I can click, there's a different kind of effect. I click on the cylinder wide option and say open it. You can see it's create something like this, spotlight effect. I can change the angle of this light and move it near the wall like this. Here you can change the intensity of it and the different property of this light. You can see the information of it. The same process, first I create a different type of light and then after I convert it to the IS light, or another way is you can directly create IS light by using this option. Simple steps to create a lighting effect. See, there are some software that can create your own IS light data. You can explore about that on internet, and you can create your own IS light data by using that softwares. Let's learn about caustic property of a light inside Cinema 4D. For that I first create a very basic floor option and then I create a little different kind of surface, a platonic surface. I move it up. I change this type to Bucky and change some radius of it. Yeah, that look good. And change some segment. Yeah, I render it to see the output. Yeah, it's a very flat one, but yeah, surely we're going to create some caustic over here. Caustic normally created by using a transparent or semi-transparent object in real life or some reflected surfaces. So first either you can convert into the reflected surface or a transparent or semi-transparent surface. So first that for that I convert this into the glass. Either you can create your own glass material by using create material option, or you can use this ready-made material given by the Cinema 4D. I go for a ready-made one, so I click on this content browser. Okay, I go back to prime material. Here you can see different kind of materials over there. I can double click on this glass. Okay, the different kind of glass effect over here. I drag this bungee glass 04 on the surface of this object. Just check out the render. It's look like this. Okay, fine. I go back to object manager. Fine. So we create a glass or transparent object and the floor. Now let's jump to the caustic part of the light. For that, first I have to create a light. I create light and I move it up. You can use any kind of light, create this type of effect. Okay, and yeah, I click on this caustic option. Here we can see in caustic properties a surface caustic and volume caustic. I first click on the surface caustic, it's on, and I render it. But you can't see any caustic over here because you have to on the caustic effect from the render properties too. So I click on this render option. Here in the render setting, inside the effect parameters, we can on this caustic option. See, right now my surface caustic is on. I minimize it and I render it again to see the effect. You can see a small or very light caustic option over here. Okay, let's change some property to improve the caustic levels. I click on the light. Inside caustic properties, I change the energy level up to 500% and check out the render. Now you can see the more caustic over here. Again, in lights property, I can change the photons. Photon is something like a particle of light. Whenever you increase it, is change the property of light or effect of a light. So from 10,000 I convert into the 25,000 and I render it again. So you can see the more caustic and more smoothness on that caustic part. Yeah. You can change the strength of this caustic. You can see now the more caustic effect over here. It's all depend on your material part. So jump to the material. You can see the specular is here. You can change the intensity of specular or size of the specular. You can change the reflection properties, intensity of reflection. Here you can see the specular 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm converting like this inside basic option, specular 1, illumination, different kind of things are there to change. If you create your own material, you have to adjust lots of property to create realistic glass, and through that you can create this realistic caustic effect. So this way you can create a caustic inside Cinema 4D. You can change the parameters of light caustic part. You can go with the volumetric caustic, change the energy levels again, play with the photons option or follow-up option, and check out the caustic part. There are lots of settings we have to change. Okay, you have to change the light up, then after you can use this follow-up option. So right now I keep it that as a none. You can see this is a caustic effect available inside Cinema 4D. Next we'll learn about the sunlight inside lighting properties. I create floor and I create very simple object like a sphere, move it up. We normally use sunlight to create very realistic outdoor lighting. Okay, by using sunlight and other properties like a global illumination, we can create more accurate outdoor lighting in Cinema 4D. So I click on this sunlight option. Here you can see the sunlight option or light is available here. You can see the dramatic change inside the scene or viewport. I render it like this. Okay, I select this, I create material over here. I keep that color around sky blue. Okay, and I drag this on the sphere. So render again like this. Fine. Okay, here you can see the sunlight effect over here. A basic option of a light, a coordinate system, general option, whatever we learned before, details of the lighting, visibility, shadow, photometric, caustic, noise, lens, project, a same option available with other lights, and sunlight property over here. You can directly access the sunlight property by using this small icon over here, and you can see is a property of a sun. or you can again jump to the sun option inside this light object property option. Here you can see the basic property like a name of the sun, a layer, some expressions if you want to use. Here you can see the time of a sun, you can change it. You can jump to the any other day, like I want to jump to the 1st of April, and I can change the location of it, longitude latitude option for more accurate result, or north and south tag, this kind of effect. Okay, you can change the current timing like this, or hour by hour like this. This you can create very realistic outdoor lighting by using this option. See, it's showing me the lighting at the 1st of April and around 3 p.m. at some, I don't know the latitude of the particular place, but yeah, you can search it from a net and you can add it. So you can see that particular light or particular light angle on particular day and particular time on particular location. So that way you can create a very realistic outdoor effect by using this light side. To add a GI in it, or you can use the GI effect with it, for that you can go inside the render setting option. Inside effect option you can add this global illumination option. It's a kind of, it's normally for outdoor lighting. It's create very realistic feel of lighting. Here you can see them preset over here, interior and outer exterior. I keep as a physical sky. Okay, it's not going to create very dramatic change in it, but yeah, you can play with it. I just close it and render it. Okay, calculating the light part, and you can see let's create more realistic output with the sunlight. So this way you can play with the light property and create a realistic light output or realistic output by using Cinema 4D. So here we learn about lighting part of the Cinema 4D. But for more realistic effect, either you can create your own setup or you can use a light setup given by the Cinema 4D. They already like it's a very encouraging thing by them by Cinema 4D that you can use their light setup for your uh, base work or your work. Here you can see inside this light option. Okay, I go into the preset option. Here you can inside this prime option, they give some preset over here, a light setup, different type of light environment, array of light, or sunlight effects. You can see or different type of you can explore these folders for different light effect, or you can create a sky. You can see the light setup over here, HDRI light setups, studio setups like softbox or softbox boom or spotlight like these. In studio option, example scenes, some render option, you can find some scenes over here. This way you can explore the different things inside Cinema 4D content browser. Inside the broadcast option, again the inside preset, light setups, daylight setup, area light setup, ambient light setup. You can use these setups to create your own work or output. So explore these all things inside Cinema 4D. Just open any light setup, just explore that settings, learn it from it, and you can use that setting for your own projects to create very realistic object or realistic output by using Cinema 4D. So learning never ends, so always try to keep you update in Cinema 4D. Next we learn about camera option inside Cinema 4D. In Cinema 4D, we can access the camera options by using this icon. You can click on this small triangle over here. You can see the different camera settings available, like a camera, target camera, stereo camera, motion camera, camera morph, and camera crane option. You can access that same setting by using this create menu. You can click on this create menu, and inside that you can see the camera options available. You click on these lines and you can see I can use this any of a camera by using this tab 2. Right now, whatever we're seeing through this perspective view, again we're seeing through a default camera. All the viewports are different type of default cameras inside Cinema 4D. To modify this default property or to know more about these default camera settings, you have to go inside mode option, and here you have to click on this camera property. Now we are seeing the property or attribute of default camera. Right now the position is a perspective. You can change to any another view like a frog or front. Jump back to perspective. Yeah, whatever we learn through the camera options here. You can change the focal length of it. I will explain about that and other property of this default camera. So these all are property available with the other cameras too, but if you want to work only with the default camera, that time you can modify this property to get better result from your default camera. Here you can see I create some basic primitives over here, and now I want to add camera inside this view. So I click over here and click on this camera option. I'm just going to show you the basic property of a camera. Then after we learn about this other property or other different settings of these cameras, I click on this camera. You can see now I'm looking through that camera. I just zoom out and you can see the camera icon over here. I can rename this camera by double clicking on it as main cam, so you can identify this very easily. Okay, right now we're seeing through perspective view again, but not through that camera. So whenever you want to see through that camera very easily, just click on this small icon over here and you jump through, and now you can see through that camera. Again I click over here and jump back to the perspective view. This is a very easy way to see through camera and see outside the camera. Here you can see the camera properties, camera object, main cam, name of that camera. The basic properties are same, like you can change the name and layer and all the things same like other objects. And the coordinate system again the same. We learned about this in before lectures. The next thing is the object. Let's learn about the object option. The first thing is the projection. Right now we're seeing through perspective projection, but if you want to change that to any another projection, you can change it very easily, like a left, right, front, back, or another view. You can change it. You can create your own view too. Next thing is the focal length. I changed this focal length like this. You can see this we can modify the our field of view by changing focal length. Here they give some default focal length option like a super wide. I just go with the 4 viewport now. I try to fit the all view by zooming out. Yeah, I select the camera. Now you can see when I change this focal length, what is the changes in this camera. So I jump back to classic 36 mm. You can see the focal length or area of view it change. Normal lens, portrait, telescopic lens. See the focal length is too little over here, or field of view is too little, so we can zoom on particular object by using this lens. Super tele 300 mm. So these are things available with the real camera. That's why we can copy that same setting inside Cinema 4D and create a same effect by using this 3D camera. Fine. Sensor size or film gate size, you can change it. If you want to learn more about these things, better you buy any photography book or digital photography book and read that, or you can browse the web internet and you can get a lots of information about this sensor size and film gate. These are photographic basic knowledge, digital photography, so you can access very easily over the internet. See, there's different type of settings: 16 mm, 35 mm movie, 35 mm photo, and 70 mm file. You can change the field of view again, horizontal and vertical. See, whenever I changing this field of view, focal length is changing according to that. So you can modify the stuff. I jump back to default one, 35 mm photo. That's okay. When I change this, let's see how view change in camera view. See, like this, you can check out the things, different type of settings of a camera. See, Super Tele is like a micro mode, so you can zoom it in that lens. This is object focal length property or field of view property, FOV property of this camera. Fine. I delete this. I click over here. I try to fit. Fine. I set the camera angle. Frame default. Yeah, that's good. And now I want to create a camera from this view. Again, I go over here and create camera. Just zoom out and you can see the camera icon over here. Fine. The next property is the film offset. Okay, I click on this camera icon so I can see through camera. And when I change this film offset, you can see it's panning a little bit. To explain about this, I just go with 4 view and I minimize these 2 views. You can adjust settings again. I click over here. We see through the camera property and here we can see from top view. So changing this film offset, you can see it's a little bit panning of a camera focal part like this. You can do that in a vertical manner too by using offset Y. Next thing is focus distance. It's normally used to create a depth of field kind of effect. So I'll tell you later on about this. What is the focus distance? Focus object. Okay, it's a very nice one. If I want to focus on particular object by using my camera, that time I can use this as a focus object. You can drag any object from here to inside this focus object, and now a focus, you can see it's just on this cube. If I drag, I just remove this, just click over here and clear this, then I drag this sphere from here to this focus object. You can see this area or the cone of this my camera is changed and now is focusing on this sphere. So very easily you can change it. I clear the sphere and drag cube again. Just check it out the top view. See, it's shifting its focus. You can create another object like a null to control this focus. So I create a null over here in camera property. I remove this cube. I drag and drop this null from here to my focus object. Now whenever I change this null, you can see my focus is changing according to that. This we can modify the focus of our camera by using a different controlling object. So I remove this camera and null. I jump back to our one view, perspective view. Again I create a new camera. Okay, drag out. Fine. Next thing we learn about the white balance. It's shown in the Kelvin parameters. See, I just click over here and render it for you. Fine. Then I go here and change this daylight settings to shade. You can see a changing over the color of this object. I render it again. See the difference. I can save this for future use. Then I change to different like a candle. Now you can see the effect of candle. See the difference between these two. The different lighting settings, a white balance, we can modify that. Tungsten and fluorescent, flash, daylight is a default one, overcast, and the last one is shade. So you can modify these as per as your need. You can change manually to like this white balance. You can change it. If you want to affect only light, not the object, that time you can click this affect light only. That will control of this white balance only to the lighting part, not on the object. So you can change it according to your need. And the next thing is a export to AFX. If you want to export our camera settings or camera animation to the After Effect for compositing or camera mapping or matte painting part or something like a projection part, that time you can use this option called export AFX. When you export this Cinema 4D file inside After Effect, you get that same property of camera or all camera property inside Cinema inside After Effect. So that's very nice to do some compositing or post-production tasks on this Cinema 4D file by using a After Effect. Our next tab is physical. When I click on this physical option, you can see only shutter speed option is available now. You can see all options are locked because we are not using a physical renderer right now. To that, we have to on this physical render inside this render option. So I can create a depth of field effect or motion blur effect by using camera settings. I tell you later on about this because right now I'm jump to the other part, and I'll later on tell you about these settings. How can we change the renderer and how can we create different kind of effects by using this physical renderer. Next we learn about a detail option inside camera property. In detail we see there's an option called enable near clipping and enable far clipping option. This is normally to control camera views to on particular object. So by using this you can cut some part of the object and you can use this to create some see-through effect or just chopped kind of effect inside Cinema 4D. So show you how can we create some effect by using this option. I just change some near clipping. You can see I change the near clipping over here, and when I drag this after some centimeter, you can see it's cutting my object like this. So if I keep anything inside this object, you can see it very clearly. If I move this object inside this, you can see it's showing inside it. When I move it little ahead, you can see it's cutting that sphere too, like this. Now from the end of the camera, I can go with the enable far clipping. I drag it around 1500. See, now it's cutting object from the behind. You can change it like this. Yeah. So this kind of effect you can create by using this option. Okay. Now see. Okay. Fine. If you hide this cone, you can hide that. See, by using this option, show cone option, you can hide this camera cone. Fine. The next thing is the depth of field map front blur. This is normally for creating a depth of field effect inside physical option. So right now we keep it aside. We learn about this in we learned about depth of field after some time. So that time I can try to cover this blur part. Next tab is stereoscopic tab. We normally use to create a camera rig or stereo camera rig inside Cinema 4D. Right now, you know, the trend is going to create a 3D views or 3D movies. So that time you have to create a two camera views and you have to render by using two different cameras or left or right camera. Then after we have to composite that by using a compositing software, and then after we create a depth inside these 2D images by using this stereoscopic option. So here the option for stereoscopic. Right now I keep it as a mono, but you can change it. Next one is symmetrical. I just zoom through. Yeah, here you can see when I click on this mono, you can't see anything over here, but when I click on this symmetrical, you see some lines over here. These are all different kind of cameras available, different cameras inside this view. To see this thing, very clear, little clearly, I jump to the top view. Here you can see I click on the show all cameras option, and you can see if I zoom it, yeah, now we have three different cameras over here, one for left, one for right thing, one for left, one for right, and one for a center one. So you can render any object from three different views by using this symmetrical option, left, right, and center. You can change the eye separation to modify some separation of the cameras, placement, radial. You can check out these settings. Parallax effect, you can change the parallax effect, and different type of setting near plane and far plane to control the depth of that 3D object. So these are options available inside this stereoscopic symmetrical option. I jump to the next one, left. You can only see through the left eye or left eye camera. I click over here. Left or a right. Okay, there's no big difference right now, but you can create a stereo camera rig by using this stereoscopic option, and is very useful to create a 3D camera output or 3D output from 3D stereoscopic output from the Cinema 4D. Next tab is composition. We normally use this composition to help to create a better composition inside Cinema 4D. Here you can see I can click on this grid option on, see grid. Okay, I'm not seeing through the camera, that's the problem. Yeah, now you can see grid option. I click on this grid option to see the grid. Yeah, this is normally useful to framing purpose. We can frame our objects on particular golden ratio point or golden point. So this will create a great composition. This is a helper to create a great composition inside Cinema 4D. Grid, or you can go with the diagonal lines. You can see this kind of diagonal lines. In diagonal property, you can change the mirror of it or color of that diagonal line property like this. Or triangles, inside this triangle option you can change it, mirror and flip and color. The next one is golden section. Normally we use this to frame our object, particularly inside camera view, to create a better composition. You can change the golden section property over here like this: top, right, bottom, left, and color. I keep it 1. Next thing is golden spiral. You can change the property of it. These are normally useful to get attention of viewer on particular area of this view or of this composition. So that time you can use this as a guide to create a good composition. And across here is a center part, is showing the center of this camera view, so you can keep any object on a center or off the center according to your composition. So these are basic properties available with the camera object inside Cinema 4D. Next we'll learn about a physical option inside camera properties. For that I create a raw cylinder over here. I create a floor object and a camera. I just render through this camera. Here you can see, yeah, it's simple objects, fine. Then I jump to the physical option, but right now you can't see any effect over here because all things are locked. It's only available when you change our renderer to the physical render. So first I click on this render setting option. Here inside this renderer option I click on this physical option. You can see this physical option is available on this tree, fine. I close it and just render it like this, yeah, fine. Now to create a depth of field effect by using the physical render. What is the depth of field? Depth of field is a very common thing we see in our real world. If we see object from far away from our view, it's get blur. But here you can see the first object is as sharp as the last object, or last object as sharp as the first object. This not happen in a real world. Whenever you see the same thing like a light pole on a edge of the road, the first pole is very sharp. Those we can see from very near to us. But the last pole or up like a next pole to that particular pole or first floor is little blurred. The next one is more blurred or something like that. That effect called depth of field effect. To see some example of it, I show you on the internet. Here you can see the different depth of field properties or effects over here. Here you can see it's highlighted the middle part of the view, background and the foreground is blurred, so you can highlight this part. Or here you can see these two beer bottles, last one is blurred and first one is sharp. So this way you can control the depth of field. You can see the f-stop property over here, different kind of f-stop property. I explain you about these two. This control the field of view options like these. The different kind of field of view you can see over here. This part is sharp, but this part or behind part is blurred. This is called a depth of field. You can find out the definition of depth of field over the net like this. So now try to create this kind of effect inside Cinema 4D by using camera properties. So here we back inside Cinema 4D view. Okay, right now without depth of field, it look like this. I did this too last. Fine, yeah, fine. Now how can we add a depth of field inside this camera properties? Very simple. First select the camera, go inside render setting options. Here we already apply renderer, physical renderer on it, and here's the option called depth of field. I click on it. Here you can change the blurriness. Okay, I will change later on, no problem. When I render it, it's not giving me the depth of field, just changing one option. I show you why what property I have to change to get better depth of field. Now I render it back. Yeah, I just render inside this picture viewer. Yeah, now you can see these and these files are same. Fine. Now I go inside this f-stop option and change the value of this f-stop. I go to the smaller one and I render it again. See, so you can't see any depth of field. Little bit over here. Fine. I close this again and go to the minus or little less than this. I type like a 0.125 or something like this. Customize the depth of field f-stop settings, and then after I render it again. Now you can see the depth of field effect. I minimize it. Now I want to blur. See here you can see in picture viewer is blur the first cylinder and sharpen the last one. I want to make it a reverse manner. So I change this option inside object property called focus object. Either you add any focus object, like I add cylinder 3 from here to here and render it. You can see it's blur the starting part, it's blur the ending part, but it's sharpen the middle part, something like this. This way you can control this effect, or directly you can just remove this, clear it, or directly you can pick the object by using this small arrow over here, and I click on this object, is highlighted and is get selected, and when I render it again, you can see it's changing the depth of field of this property or of this cylinder. Now our render is too low quality, so I just change the quality of this effect in physical option. inside this option. The sampling quality is the low now, so I just change it to the high and I re-render this thing again. Sampling actually enhance the quality, but still it's take a time to render. So this is the output after changing the setting to high. It's take around 42 seconds to render. See, the previous one is around 3 seconds and this one is 42 seconds. So it's a big change, big difference between the rendering time by using a low quality and high quality. So this way you can control the depth of field effect. Using the f-stop option, you can change it according to your need. For a better option, you can go inside detail and change the depth of field map front blur to some blurriness control. You can play with this all setting and you can control your depth of field effect by using this option inside Cinema 4D. Next we'll learn about a motion blur effect by using a Cinema 4D camera. When we move our camera fast way or fast manner, you can see some blurriness on the edge of the object that called motion blur effect. I show you some example over the internet. Here you can see the very nice example of a motion blur. You can see over here the bus is moving fast, so you can see some motion blur over here. Behind this character you can see some blur like this train moving fast behind this person, something like this. This is a very natural effect. Whenever we shoot by using any real camera, we see this kind of effect inside the output. So we want to copy that same effect in 3D camera inside Cinema 4D. You can see the definition of motion blur over here. I create small setup over here of a characters. For create a motion blur effect, first I have to animate my camera. So I'll show you how can we animate any object or any property inside Cinema 4D. There are different kind of ways available inside Cinema 4D to animate any object, but right now I'm showing you the basic way. In next upcoming lecture, I surely show you the better option or the add-ons option of animating any object in Cinema 4D. So first I select the camera. I just see through a perspective or different view and to animate this. Okay, fine. So I click on this record active object. I keep it over here and it's create a small keyframe on that 0 frame and to animate that around 20 frame. So I just click on this 20 and then after I move this camera like this, yeah, to record this position again I have to click on this record active object. You can see some line over here. This is a motion path of my camera movement. I can play that. So you can see camera is moving like this. We are right now working with the 90 frames over here and we animate only 20 frames. So I just change this range around 20. So now you can see only 20 frames like this. Now see through camera, fine, and you can see I create something like this. Okay, now in middle of these frames I render it. Okay, without motion blur it look like this, but now I create a motion blur. To create a motion blur properties, we have to activate again a physical renderer. Inside physical renderer, you can see the motion blur properties are there. I click on it. I change some motion subdivision for a good result like this and render the same frame again. You can see that motion blur effect on the object. I show you without this, so I just jump back to the option, remove this motion blur effect, go back to standard option and I render it again. So you can see the difference between this motion blur file and without motion blur file. So motion blur is very important to create a realistic output of any object, any animation. When we create any any kind of animation inside Cinema 4D, it's sure little bit blurred on the motion or on a movement. So this will look more real than the normal one like this and this. You can control these motion blur properties. I just go back to physical render again. I can change the quality again to high. Motion blur option, division, I change it around 6. Yeah, 6 is the last one. Fine. And then after I render it again, like this. After changing quality to high, you can see this take around 37 seconds to render. Here at here you can see only 3 seconds to render in low quality, but here you can see 37 seconds to high quality render. So motion blur change the render time very dramatically. You can control this effect by the shutter speed option. You can change it, and this will control the motion blur effect. So try this and see what change happen when we change this shutter speed option. Next properties are lens distortion effect in two different manner, quadratic and cubic. I show you the example of lens distortion. When light pass through the camera lens, it get distorted and create something like this fisheye kind of effect or distortion effect. You can see here there's a barrel distortion effect, something like this, or pin cushion distortion effect, something like this. You can see over here. You see that effect in a real camera, so we have to copy that effects or copy that thing inside Cinema 4D. Here you can see the bricks is look little bulgy over here because of that lens distortion part. So I want to create the same effect inside Cinema 4D by using a Cinema 4D camera property. So right now I just render it is without the effect. Okay, inside physical render I keep the depth of field and motion blur off. Okay, that's fine. And sampling quality to low. Okay, that's fine. And I change this lens distortion effect like this. And render it again. Now you can see it's look distorted over here. You can see the difference between these two without lens distortion and with lens distortion. Okay, so I just reset it again. I change the lens distortion cubic around 45. Yeah, that's cool. And I render it again. You can see a little bit different than the previous one, like this. So this way you can copy the real world camera effect inside Cinema 4D camera options. Next properties are vignette options. We normally use this to focus on a center of the image, and we darken the edge of the image to focus our attention to divert a viewer attention in the center or middle of the image. That time you can use this option. I show you some example of it. Here you can see some vignette over here around this couple. You can see over here or around this temple. Here you can see the on the white background or here on the cityscape. This will control viewer attention toward the center. So we can create the same effect inside Cinema 4D too by using some camera properties. So I render it here now without vignette effect. Fine. And I change the vignette intensity, but right now my background is black. If you see over here, and my vignette also will be a black. So the problem is that I can't see the vignette effect very clearly. So I want to change my background of this render or image or view. For that time I can go inside this option environment option and I click on this background option here and I render it like this. You can see a background over here. I remove this floor and render it again. Let's see. Now you can see the background over here. If you want to change this background, very easily you can change it. Just think these colors and the background colors are same, so create any material. By default is a white one, and simply drag this material from here to the background option. You can see the option of color, and when I render it, you can see the white background for this render. Fine. Next thing, I on this vignette property intensity option, I change it around 45 and render it again. You can see there's some darkness around the edge of this white part. You can see difference between these two. You can change it like this and the offset to change the centric part, yeah, and I render it again. You can see the darkness around the edge of this image. This will focus on the center of the object or render or image. Again I change it like this and render it. Now you can see the difference of them all. So this way we can create a more realistic or creative effect by using this vignette option inside Cinema 4D. Next one, a chromatic aberration is normally for create a chrome light kind of effect or bouncing of the light on the particular object. And the last one is a diaphragm shape. This is normally for creating a bokeh effect by using a light and camera. So these are different things. You try to explore this thing. This is all about the physical property inside camera option inside Cinema 4D. So we cover object, physical details, stereoscopic and composition part of the camera. Now we learn about different camera settings or how can we control cameras inside Cinema 4D by using some different tags option. Next we learn about controlling camera movements by using some tags option. So first I create a camera over here. I create a basic scene. Fine. You see my camera over here. It's not animated. So I want to animate that on a spline by using these tag options. So first I create a spline. I go to the top view. Here I create a spline by using our Bezier option. From here I create something like this. That's okay. I back to the object mode and jump to the perspective one. Yeah, I create a small spline over here. I move it up. Now to attach this camera on this spline, for that I select this camera option and here inside this tag option I click on the Cinema 4D tags and click on the second option called align to spline. You can use this option or tag for many other purpose, but right now I'm using with the camera. So I click on this align to spline option. Here inside the align to spline option you can drag and drop the spline path. So I drag and drop this spline from here to here and you can see my camera directly jump on the path like this. I just clear it once. I keep this or I just undo it. See my camera is here now and I just simply click on this camera tag option, camera 4D tags and click on this align to spline option and I drag this spline name from here to this spline path box. You see my camera directly jumped on that starting point of the spline. So when I change this position of the camera you can see it's moving like this. You can animate this position to control the camera property. But the problem is that it's not seeing our object. See, it's seeing outside the our objects. See, like this. So I want to focus or target this camera on particular object. For that I use another tag. I click a camera property again. I go inside this tag option. Inside Cinema 4D tag, I click on this target option. I click on this target and I drag this sphere as my target inside target object. Now when I change the position of it, you can see for entire movement is just focusing on the sphere. Let's see through the camera view, and you can see this way whenever he is moving, it's just focusing on the sphere. So if you want to animate this, very easily you can animate that. Either you can click on this keyframe option or press Ctrl and click on this position small circle over here. That will create a keyframe on particular frame. I press Ctrl and click it over here. It shows that this property is animated, and this you can see over here it's create a keyframe over here. So you can use this technique to animate any property inside Cinema 4D. I drag it to the 90 frame. If I want to go beyond the 90, you can type it and you can add more frame inside this, but I think 90 is enough for this kind of animation. And I change this position to 100%. Again I press Ctrl and click on this position to create a end keyframe. Now when I move this, you can see it's animating over that spline. Let's see outside the camera. This way you can control the camera movements of by using the spline option and a target option, or spline and target tag. Next tag is inside tag Cinema 4D look at camera tag. I create a cube over here and a camera, and to face this cube toward the camera, so I click on this cube option. I right now seeing through the camera, I click on this cube option. Inside tag Cinema 4D tag, I click on this look at camera tag. See, it's directly jump toward the camera. So this way you can change the any surface angle toward the camera view. This is a very nice tag available inside Cinema 4D to control the rotation or the angle of the objects. Our next camera type is target camera. I click on this target camera option. Here you can see a camera with a target. So what we learn inside tag Cinema 4D target option is directly available inside this target camera. Right now the target not fixed. It's already create one null object as a target of this camera. So let's see through the camera, and you can see you can modify that by using this null object, or you can change this target to any other object like a capsule. I just drag and drop it this capsule in this target object box, and now whenever I move this capsule, you can see it's changing the camera target or camera focus according to that setting. So these are camera option available inside Cinema 4D target camera. Either you can use this setting or you can create our own target by using a Cinema 4D tag option to control camera movement inside Cinema 4D. Next camera type is a stereo camera option. Here you can see in stereoscopic option, or I just see through this camera. All things are same, a stereoscopic camera, but it directly open as a symmetrical option inside stereoscopic option. So we learn about this in basic camera options. So the same setting available again a mono, symmetrical, left, right. You can change the plane and near plane and far plane to control the 3D output of this camera. So same thing what we learned sometime before. These all things available through this camera option too. Next is motion camera. It's a very interesting one. We use this. This is a camera like a real world camera. When I click on this motion camera, it creates something like this. Here you can see a small funny icon over here, a character with the camera. You can see I just hide this capsule and keep for a while. Yeah, and this, yeah, you can see the path over here and a target of this camera like this. See, when I change it, you can see that icon hands are moving according to that like this. It's a very funny icon over there. I can click on this motion camera setup or path spline. You can see here, you can see the path spline inside and target. Again, this is a null object and a motion camera. Here inside this property, you can see the last property is the motion camera property. I click on it. I can change the basic property of it, like a name of this camera and layer and expression or something like that. Then after I click on this rig, I can change the height of it like this, a parallax effect, like where you want to keep your camera, and the, yeah, I just change it little bit, yeah, forward. Head, you can see it's rotating his head, and camera angles like this. You can set a base for this character or for the camera. Animation, yeah, this important thing. You can animate this camera on particular spline. You can change this spline if you want. If you want to create your own spline, you can very easily create it and add the same thing like a tag, camera, cinema 4D options, and align to spline option. But they already set these things over here inside motion camera. I can change this spline if I want, and I change the camera position A. See, now camera moving toward this spline on that spline instead like this. So you can control this spline. You can create your own spline. You can change the effect of it inside animation property. Next, the dynamics property and foot dynamics or things. You can explore these things. Motion. Here you can see some motion over here. When I play this, you can see this small motion going on the camera. When I see through the camera, you can see it's moving like this. It's something like a handheld camera, and cameraman's just shaking that camera, right, like a realistic handheld camera effect. So if you want to change that, you can go and say Steadicam 1, and you can change the intensity of it to control this property, or scale and frequency, head rotation. These are lots of different property like this. Or dogma cam or something like that. This you can modify the camera movement, a default camera movement, by using these options like this. So this you can create camera objects, a motion camera object, and use that like this. So you can create your own tag by using this tag cinema 4D option, align to spline and target option, or you can use these ready-made settings of cameras to create a better camera result in cinema 4D. One very important thing about motion camera, if you select any object and create a motion camera, so it's focusing or targeting that particular object. Just undo it I select the cube. Again, I go and create a motion camera, and you can see it's targeting or focusing on the particular object. So if you want to create a free kind of motion camera, that time don't select any object inside view and create a camera, or you want to target or focus on particular object by using the motion camera. So select that object and click on this motion camera option to create a camera focusing particularly on that object inside Cinema 4D. Next option is a camera crane option. Again, it's a realistic one. You can see the base of this crane, the option like this. I hide this capsule and cube. I click on this camera properties. You can see the heading of this camera, height of this crane, like this, arm length, pitch. You can set a target for this arm. Head is a ready-made rig available inside Cinema 4D, a crane rig. So you can easily copy the realistic or real crane camera movement by using these settings inside Cinema 4D. And these all things are animatable, so very easily you can animate the all properties like a height and heading of this camera. So very easily you can copy all the effect available in real camera or real crane attached camera in real life inside the camera of Cinema 4D. Very nice one. You can control lots of things by using these controllers. So these are camera type available inside Cinema 4D version 16 studio version. So these are different kind of cameras available inside Cinema 4D. Explore the other properties of camera. We use camera to create very dramatic animations. So information, the knowledge about the camera is very important to create a great output. So explore the all properties and practice more for a camera animation or camera alignment. Our next topic is camera calibration inside Cinema 4D. What is a camera calibration? Normally we try to match a real world image, camera position, camera angle with 3D camera inside Cinema 4D. That's called camera calibration. Normally we use this to insert a 3D object into the real footage. By using this technique, we can insert any 3D object into the 2D image very easily. For know more about this, you can search on a net, or you can learn about the camera matching option or camera tracking option over the internet. We normally use a different kind of software like for especially for this purpose, a 3D tracking software or 3D match moving software like a PF Track, Boju. But we can create the same effect inside Cinema 4D by using some basic tool. So I show you a very small example of this technique. For that, first I have to create a camera. So I click over this option and I create a camera over here. Right now we're seeing through that camera. Yeah. Now I want to add a camera calibration tag on it. So I select this camera, go inside this tag option, and inside Cinema 4D tags, there's option called camera calibrator. So I click on this camera calibrator option. Okay. In basic, as normal, we can change the name of this thing, layer and expression of things. Image, here we can add a background of this camera view. For that, I download a image from internet and I will insert that inside this background. So here you can see I add a image of a office uh, inside camera background. That's fine. You can change the film aspect ratio if you want, but I think that's over by default is okay. You can change the image scale and other image property, a brightness, a contrast, like these. You can change the match width, match height, but I think the default one is good, so I just keep it as a default. Next thing is the calibration. So I click on this calibrate option. I have to define that which is my axis in this image. Like for y, I have to create two lines. Okay, this is my up axis is y, so I create two calibration lines over here for y axis. For x axis, okay, you have to create minimum two lines for each axis, but you can create more if you want to more settle result. So I just create add line. I click on this add line option. You can see the line is there. I just drag this. Okay, you can see this box over here. Okay, if you want to change the size or the zoom level of this, very easily you can change it. Go to the setting option. You can see the magnifier zoom value. I change the magnifier zoom value like 51. Yeah, that's cool. And magnifier size a little bit more like this. When I move it, you can see it's showing me more detailed result. So I keep it over here on this corner. Yeah, and drag the other point or other edge toward the last point of this corner. Now this line is aligned with this cupboard, but computer don't know or Cinema don't know which axis is this. So I press shift and click over here. You can see the green color is aligned to the y axis or up axis. So I press shift and click on it till it's turned to the green. Okay, that's the green now. That means it's aligned to the y axis. I back to calibrate option. I click on this add line option again. For one axis, you have to minimum align two lines. So for next thing, I can click on this small edge of this cupboard and I drag this like this on the edge of this cupboard. Yeah, that's good. Again, I press shift and click over here to turn it to the green. Green means y axis. You can see over here. Fine. So we align y. So here you can see a y vanishing point is yellow means is solved. Okay, fine. Now we have to add for x or z. I click on add axis, add line, and I click over here for the x-axis like this. That's okay. Fine. Check out the other end. That's okay. You can add a line over here for z2, but I think x-axis is quite okay. I press shift and click over here. It's a red. That means it's in a x-axis. Add another line. You can add grid or you can delete the line if you don't want. I can click on this add line option, and for the other x-axis I click on this edge of the table. You need very steady hand to pick the edge, and over here again I press shift and click it. See, when I align two lines on two different axes, the third axis is automatically created by the Cinema 4D. Here you can see z vanishing point indirectly solved because of this two. When I create x and y, the z axis will automatically defined by the Cinema 4D. But still, our center point of the grid is not settled on this plane. So for that, a camera position is unsolved. So I click on this option called add pin, and I click on this edge of the this x axis line. Okay, I think that's fine. Add pin. I add a pin over here. That's fine. And then after I click on this create camera mapping tag and create background object to create effect. See, here you can see the background object and a camera tag. Now if I add any object inside this scene, it's too big, so I just change the property of it around 25 and 25. So it's try to align with this background. Okay, like this, or you can create different one like a figure, change it to the 100 or 10, move it over the display. Okay, for the better result I have to add more and more uh, lines for a great result, but right now I just showing the basic thing. In future lecture surely I will try to solve more lines, or you can try by your own, create more lines for each and every axis, and you get a better result by using this stuff. So this is a basic camera angle. We can set a camera angle according to our real life photo shoot or video inside Cinema 4D. And here you can see I create something like this. It's not very perfect, yeah, but surely you can add more lines, and you can uh, align a better way and create a good camera angle or perfectly matching angle with your real photos or videos. That's called a camera calibration inside Cinema 4D.